Look, nobody feels it more than you do. The nagging doubt that your data, your models, your analysis, all this AI-driven complexity might just be missing the point. You're staring at mountains of social media posts, opinion waves rippling across networks. But do you really think simple sentiment scores, happy, sad, angry, are enough to predict when the streets will flood with protest? When people's fists will hit the air and demand real change? The frustration here is real. You're burning time, resources, chasing numbers that don't crack the code. That's the pain. The stakes aren't small. Investors want breakthrough insights. Founders want to pivot before disaster. Leaders want to see the tipping point before it explodes. And your tools look blind. But here's the brutal truth you need to hear. Sentiment analysis by itself is barely scratching the surface of social movements. It's a surface-level noise catcher, good for understanding moods, but utterly useless for predicting seismic shifts. Unless you twist it right, and that's where almost everyone fails. So let's cut the crap and get tactical. Crap. The first rule: don't treat sentiment like a crystal ball. Stop obsessing over averages and simple polarity. Instead, you dive deep into layered emotions, the anger boiling under frustration, the hope tangled with fear, the rage masked as sarcasm. You need multi-dimensional emotion maps, not one-dimensional sentiment bars. Second, combine sentiment with context, real context. Look at who's speaking, who's reacting, and crucially, how fast. Track the spread, the velocity of emotional contagion. A new hashtag alone means nothing, but a hashtag emerging in tight-knit communities of influencers, combined with rising anger and distrust toward institutions? That's the spark waiting to ignite. Don't ignore networks. AI models that plug into social graphs, measuring influence chains and emotional heat maps, will find the early signals buried in the chaos. Third, constantly feed your models with fresh, raw data beyond tweets and posts. Divide your sources, direct grassroots channels, underground forums, encrypted apps. It's in these dark spaces you'll find emotions that don't speak in public yet, but will blow up soon. Fourth, leverage unsupervised learning to capture novel emotional expressions and linguistic twists. Social movements don't speak in clear sentences. They speak in code, irony, and evolving memes. Your AI must learn that language before it can sound the alarm. And finally, don't fall for false positives, because they kill credibility fast. Set thresholds tied not just to sentiment spikes, but to structural changes in conversations, like shifts in topics from policy complaints to calls for action, or sudden emergence of localized calls for protests tied to physical event data. That fusion is your predictive edge. You want to be ahead? You must build systems that connect emotions, people, language, and action in real time. This means architects of AI have to break out of building isolated modules and start creating ecosystems of data pipelines that interact. Enough with treating social movements like predictable market trends. They're messy, emotional, unpredictable, and your models have to step up, or you'll keep watching crises unfold while your algorithms scramble in confusion. This is your call to move beyond the obvious, to build tools that don't just read the mood, but understand the underground pulse, the trembling of society's nerves before it strains the surface. It's not easy. It demands radical rethinking, mapping human emotions as living, changing organisms. But the payoff? Being the first to see the storm coming, turning emotion signals into real foresight, and flipping the future from reactive to proactive. This is what founders, investors, leaders need to do right now. Tear apart outdated sentiment tools, start blending emotional complexity with social dynamics, dive deep into raw, unfiltered human connections online, and build AI systems wired for unpredictable human movements, not polite conversation. This isn't a theory. It's the strategy that transforms frustration and confusion into control and impact. If AI can't learn to read the raw, chaotic beat of people's feelings in real time, real social movements will always be out of reach. That's who you are, who you must be, the ones building that bridge before the waves crash. Don't settle for shallow signals. Don't waste a minute waiting for easy answers. This is the fight. This is the fix. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and check the featured link to discover more.